back to another episode of 6 and 6, where we cover 6 stories from around the world in 6 minutes or less. With that said, start your timer. We open today with the United States, where Donald J. Trump has once again won his bid for the presidency. After being out of office for 4 years, this is going to be his second U.S. presidency, though it will not be consecutive. The battle between he and Harris went well into the night, ending with him clinching key Rust Belt states, including Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, which both candidates had counted heavily on throughout their respective campaigns. As of now, Vice President Kamala Harris has officially conceded the race, and Donald Trump is preparing to take his spot at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Next, we come to Japan, where the country's second largest steel producer predicts trouble on the horizon. The company cut its estimate of its net profits because of mounting pressure from Chinese steel exports. From Reuters, quote, the company now predicts net profit of 130 billion yen for the fiscal year to March 31st, down from its August estimate of 205 billion yen. The crude output plan on the parent base is roughly cut down to 2.4 million metric tons, down 0.6 million tons from earlier estimates. The government of Japan has not left market intervention off the table in order to correct the balance of trade with China as they continue to export their steel and drive down costs. Further south in Australia, the government has said that they will institute a ban of social media for the youngest in their society. From BBC, quote, this one is for the mums and dads. They, like me, are worried sick about the safety of our children online. I want Australian families to know that the government has your back, he said. The quote goes on, the government said that the ban will not apply to young people already on social media, and there will be no exemptions on the age limit for children who have consent from their parents. This, end of quote. This was brought about by multiple interest groups pointing to the negative effects of social media and previous UN guidelines. Next, we come to the continent of Europe, where in Germany, the current governing coalition has fallen apart as of this Wednesday. This has led some to fear of economic repercussions, especially after recent changes in the U.S., aka Donald Trump's election to the presidency. From Reuters, after sacking Finance Minister Christian Lindner, the Free Democrats Party, Scholz is expected to head a minority government with his Social Democrats and the Greens, the second largest party. He would have to rely on a cobbled-together parliamentary majorities to pass legislation, and he plans to hold a parliamentary confidence vote in his government on January 15th, which could trigger a snap election by the end of March. End quote. And these changes have been the culmination of months of unease within the current governing coalition. Next, we turn to South America, where the Bolivian military has been held hostage by a group of armed citizens who are supporters of the previous president. From BBC, quote, Chuncanchambam, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, is in central Bolivia and is home to many supporters of the former president. Shortly after the facility was taken over by the group, the military announced the evacuation of personnel and their families, local media reported. One of the soldiers being held in the facility said in a message that to his command center that the group was demanding that authorities stop interfering with blockades, Bolivian news agency ANF said, end quote. The current government has denied Morales' claims to presidency. After his 13 years in office, he was rejected from the presidency by Luis Acre, whose supporters have continued to confront those of Morales' across the country. Next to Africa, where the border between Mozambique and South Africa has been closed after the protests that have come out during the Mozambique's election period have continued to rage. From Reuters, quote, at least 18 people have been killed in the protests, according to human rights groups, as opposition supporters demonstrate against what they say is a fraudulent election win by Frelimo. The party that has ruled Mozambique since 1975. Security forces have responded with tear gas and live ammunition, while the government has restricted internet access and threatened to deploy the army, end quote. On top of the various deaths that have been reported, there are also reports of damaged property from storefronts across the nation to cars set ablaze near the border. South African officials are saying that this is a precautionary measure in order to make make sure that they do not see the negative spillover of the protest. So with all of that, if you want to read any of today's articles, they'll all be linked in the description below that like and subscribe button. Down there, you can find the podcast on Spotify, Pocket Cast, Podvine, as well as the Twitter handle at Your Daily Flip, where I post a Twitter tirade every Tuesday and Thursday. And if you want to hear the normal podcast, that comes out on Monday, Wednesday, Friday at this YouTube channel or on this RSS feed and vice versa, depending on where you are. If you're over here on the RSS feed, go check it out on YouTube. If you're on the YouTube channel, go check it out on the RSS feed. Maybe you can go there and download it so you can listen to it on the road. Whatever it may be, thank you for joining me for this one. And with all that said, there's only one more thing to say. Stay safe, don't die.